Hi, I'm John. At 55, I've been working a long time, but I'm concerned about job security. I've seen so many changes happening around me, and so I want to be prepared. I hope this webinar can help me overcome these challenges and build my career confidence.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I've just turned 45 and I'm trying to come back to work after 10 years away. I've been trying to find a new job and really excited to learn strategies to stay relevant and achieve a better work-life balance in this webinar.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to show you a few personalities, right? Guess who they are and what do they have in common. First guy, Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson, right? Do you recognize this one? Zhang Yimou, famous Chinese director, movie director. Martha Stewart, well, already infamous or famous, for call you whatever you will, right? She was famous as a TV personality and then she was jailed for some reason or other and now she came out again and she's starting a second phase, right? Akira Kurosawa, those of you who are film buffs, you should be very familiar with him. Famous Japanese director, movie director. Now, what do all these people have in common? What do you think? What do all of them have in common? Can you type into the chat box? What do you think all of them have in common? Passion, right? Somebody said passion. What else? Something that's related to today's topic. Experience, age. Well, let me tell you, they achieve a remarkable level, an increased level of success after they turn 40. While they still had a career before that, but by all accounts, after they reach 40, they gain a second level, a higher level of success, right? And not to mention this last guy, if you recognize him, Colonel Saunders, the person who started KFC, right? Do you know when at what age did he start Kentucky Fried Chicken? He started at 62. Amazing, isn't it? Right? So that's what I'm going to sort of get you all to understand, right? Even though we may be above 40 or even above 50 and so, we are never too old to start again. Okay? So that's going to be the gist of today's session. Okay? My name is Yuan. Welcome to our workshop on gaining career confidence after 40. Now, I'm going to assume that most, if not all of you, are above this age group. Right? For those of you who are under 40, welcome as well, because you at some point will go above 40, reach 40 or above. So I'm hoping that you learn some tips from here today as well. I myself, I just turned 61 a few months ago, right? And whatever I'm going to share with you are things that I have personally used and helped with my clients as well. Right? I'm a practicing career coach. I've had my own private coaching practice for over 8 years now. Right? And most of my clients are actually in the mid to senior level career, not only in career stage, but also in age, right? And a lot of their issues and concerns really stem from the basis of a lot of the worries after they've turned 40. So I'm going to share those with you, and I'm going to share how I worked with them to overcome all these issues and gain tremendous confidence in what they are doing. Right? Now, apart from coaching people like yourselves and job seekers, I also conduct workshops like what you've attended today, right? These are some of the other topics that I conduct for not only WSG, but also for companies and institutions and all that, right? So if you're interested in attending some of the upcoming workshops, stay tuned towards the end. I've got the schedule up for you. Right? Now, apart from conducting workshops and working with job seekers and people who are worried about their career progression, I also actually conduct training for people to become career coaches. Okay, so again, if you are interested, stay tuned towards the end. All right. Okay. Now, that was a little bit about me. Now I want to sort of get an understanding of who you are and what sort of things are going through your head right now. Okay. Now, I can sense that the reason why you are here today is because you've got a few things going through your head that's worrying you. Okay. Can you type into the chat box, what are your career concerns as you are advancing in your life? Can you type into the chat box, what are your major career concerns? Okay, age discrimination, difficult to get chosen for interviews. Once you get retrenched, hard to find that career transition. Age discrimination, uncertainties, nervous by entering the workforce against mostly younger people. Technology, concerns about technology. Getting a new job. Jobs taken by younger people. Shortchanging you, okay. Experience and age, employers not keen for experience. Okay, you want stability as well. All right, great. Thank you so much for sharing with me your career concerns. I can see quite a few common issues which I'm going to address today. All right, so hopefully you get something out of this. All right, now I just came across this little survey a couple of weeks ago. It was done by Straits Times and they conducted a poll, or actually it was done by the NTUC among 1,500 workers. And they divided into three age groups, 20 to 34, 35 to 55, and above 55. All right, so you can see those highlighted, which is basically 35 to above 55. The thing that I was quite interested in was you see the top three. Number one, concern for the older age group was saving for retirement. And number two, caring for elderly parents and young children. And then number three was upskilling. But I also want to highlight the orange arrow you see at the bottom here. It says fairness and respect at work. And I can sense that underlying this notion is really your concern about ageism and discrimination, right? So what we're going to address today. In March of this year, I conducted a short survey and over 300 people replied. And most, if not all of these people who replied are people who are above 40. Okay, and so they express their concerns here. And I'm going to summarize this for you. The top few concerns. First one, age discrimination, job security, relevant skills and training, career advancement, health and work-life balance. Right? So I'm going to sort of angle the workshop today to try and address all these concerns to help you gain career confidence. Right? And I think judging from the comments you made in the chat box to my earlier question, I think a lot of these apply to these categories itself. All right. So before I begin, I think it's really worthwhile for us to understand what these mean, what these terms mean. Okay, so let me spend a few minutes on this. First one, age discrimination. Many of you have written that down as a major concern. So what do we mean by that? Okay, so it's either prejudice or unfair treatment based on age, right? And the root cause here is what? Okay, root cause is stereotypes, bias against older workers. And the impact of this is it limits job opportunities and career advancement, and it reduces job satisfaction, right? So very major concerns here. Next one, job security. What does it mean to you? It is the likelihood of maintaining stable employment over time. That's what it means, job security. And the root cause here against you having job security, economic fluctuations, industry change, automation, maybe company restructuring. Yeah. Impact, stress, financial instability, potential unemployment. Right. The next one is relevant skills and training. The ability to acquire and maintain skills that are in demand in the job market. Right. So root cause, technology changes, changing industry requirements, and skill gaps as a result of all those changes, right? And its impact on us, our career, difficulty in securing new opportunities or advancing in one's career, right? Career advancement, we all know this, right? The process of progressing in our career through promotions and increased job scopes and such. And the root cause of preventing us from having career advancement, limited opportunities, age discrimination, maybe even lack of training or mentorship, right? Impact on career, stagnation, reduced job satisfaction, potential loss of income. All very big deals, right? Last one, but by no means least, health and work-life balance. The ability to maintain a healthy balance between professional and personal life. High job demands, long working hours, and lack of support for flexible work arrangements. That is the root cause. Yeah. And what's the impact here? Increased stress, again, burnout, potential negative impact on your physical and mental well-being. Yeah. A lot of this has been discussed through the news about mental health. Now, if you look at all these definitions, causes, and impact, what do you think are some of the issues here? What is really the real issue? Can you think about this? All the definition here, all the root causes, on all the impacts, what is the real issue here? So if you really look at the comments here again, right? One way to actually identify what the real issue here, right, is by looking at some of the keywords that you can see popping up. Words that keep coming out again and again over the definitions and the impact. Can you see and what they are? Can you try and see, what are the keywords that keep popping out here? Let me tell you, from where I am standing, right, the keywords here that's really hindering people like ourselves in our age group from progressing further are really two things, right? Changes, how we are coping with change, right? And how these changes have impacted on the opportunities that are available to us, right? So I'm going to tackle this in this format here, right? And therefore, the learning outcome for today is really very simple, right? So firstly, I'm going to deal with how you can stay relevant and have greater sense of security, right? Security is the keyword here. Somebody mentioned insecurity, right? How do we deal with insecurity? Able to continuously create new opportunities for career advancement and pursuing our passion, right? Somebody mentioned passion just now as well, right? Obviously, we want to have a work-life balance. So I'm going to touch upon strategies to create or maintain work-life balance. Now, in order to deal with all these three, there's something we must do first. Very important, is to really understand and interpret why is there ageism? Why is there ageism? Okay? Because if we don't do that, we cannot then tackle the issues at hand. So we must first understand this. All right? Now, for those of you who just came in or came in later, if you didn't see the introduction or you haven't been to my previous workshop before, you will know that I try and illustrate what I'm trying to discuss during the workshop by using case studies or past clients. So today is no different, right? I'm going to introduce you to John and Sarah.
Hi, I'm John. At 55, I've been working a long time, but I'm concerned about job security. I've seen so many changes happening around me, and so I want to be prepared. I hope this webinar can help me overcome these challenges and build my career confidence.
Hello, I'm Sarah. I've just turned 45 and I'm trying to come back to work after 10 years away. I've been trying to find a new job and really excited to learn strategies to stay relevant and achieve a better work-life balance in this webinar.
Okay, you can see both John and Sarah have very different motivations and reasons, right? So for John, right, he is currently employed, right? But he has major concerns about possible changes coming along that his company is going to introduce or might introduce down the line that would affect his own career prospects. Yeah. What about Sarah? Well, Sarah's different, right? She's currently unemployed, so she's looking for a job. But one of the biggest things that's hampered her is not only her age, she's above 45, but the fact that she's been absent from the workforce for a long time. Okay. Now, I saw in the chat box just now, many of you have written down your career concerns that actually overlap with what John and Sarah are experiencing right now. Okay. So I'm going to bring you through how we can help both of them and perhaps help you as well to resolving all those issues. Right. So we have actually quite a lot to cover today. The last time I did this workshop was in July. For those of you who have attended that workshop in July, you will see that I've actually incorporated a few things. Number one, since that workshop, I had tons and tons of people contacting me about questions to address and all that. So I'm going to incorporate those questions in here. At the same time, I also got a little email from someone who asked if I could share my own story about why I embarked on my own personal journey as a practicing career coach. And I did this after I turned 50. Okay, so maybe if we have time, then maybe we can sort of discuss this, and then you see whether it sort of can help you as well. Now, so the first thing here is this. Let's understand what we mean by ageism and interpret why is there ageism. Right? And the reason why I want to spend a bit of time on this particular section first before all the others is really to sort of get you to think about these reasons and try and determine to what extent any of these reasons are controllable or influenced by you, right? Can you manage, or is it outside your control? Then you got to make the decision which ones you want to tackle. Okay. My personal philosophy is, why do we waste our energy on things we cannot control? Let's focus on things we can control. So that is what I'm trying to drive at today. Right? And really, this whole thing about ageism, age discrimination, is really about trying to understand, why are there stereotypes and biasness against older workers? Let's start with here first. All right. First thing, reality check. Reality check. Okay. You all know this. The retirement age has been increased gradually over the years. It's 63 for retirement this year. It will be 65 in 2030. Reemployment now is 68, but it will go up to 70 by 2030. Now, Singapore is not the only country that's increasing the retirement age. There are other countries that are doing it as well. And one of the common reasons for doing it is because the population is getting older. Okay? So the government here in Singapore is understanding that, we have to do something to incorporate the changing age structure. Now, this is reality. But the other reality is also this. There are still companies that don't seem to encourage older workers in joining them, right? Ageism, call it what you will. So the thing here I want you to have a think about here now is, why are these companies still thinking in that way, that older workers may not be as effective? Cost, slow. What else is there? Culture could be. Bias. Why is there a bias? Why are they not changing? They're afraid someone might be better than them. Okay, great. Less IT effective. Expensive. Okay. Fixed mindset, inflexible, health issue, energy levels. Very good. Very good comments, right? Essentially, if you look at it, you've hit the nail on the head, right? Either, they feel that we are expensive, we are demanding, inflexible. I've saw some of the comments there. Short runway. In other words, the older we are, we don't have much time to contribute, right? We don't fit in. We don't fit in, right? Maybe knowledge. Some of the trending things that's happening now, maybe they feel that we cannot cope, right? Physical limitations, that's also the other bit, right? But there's also the other factor, right? Some of you have mentioned this already, okay? It is also about the way the business is structured. The way the business is structured. So these factors could be what? It could be things like they have a salary cap or budget, right? Maybe they're operating in a very fast-moving, high-tech area. Okay? And maybe, the company is not having those diversity policies or practices yet. Okay. Or maybe the product or the culture is all very youth focused and you don't feel that older workers can fit in. All very real reasons. Okay. So here we want to understand here, if that is the case, why are we then banging our head against the wall with those companies? What can we do in order to circumvent all these things? Okay? What can we do in order to circumvent all these things?
Being away from the workforce, and also above 40, I can also see what challenges I have now. I need to be proactive in addressing the concerns potential employers have, and also make sure I am more selective about choosing the right company to join.
As an employee, I can see why my company has been reluctant in getting me involved in some of the new processes being introduced. On one hand, it's about business, and on the other, I need to show that I can be someone who can help and not hinder the company growth too.
Right. So it is about understanding what the issues are first. And then from understanding what the issues are, we can then see, okay, which are the areas we can tackle, which are the areas that are outside our influence, things that we cannot control. Maybe we shouldn't bang our head against the wall to try and tackle those things. Okay. Like I said, if we are focusing on things that are outside of our control, like government policies and all that, we get more and more frustrated. It pulls us back. And I don't want that to happen to all of us. All right. Okay. The next portion here I want to address is this notion of staying relevant. Staying relevant. Okay. And here the issue here is, how do we stay relevant and have a greater sense of security?
I'm really worried about this. Having been out of the workforce for many years, I'm wondering how I can get back and do something meaningful, especially at my age.
Yes, this is also troubling me. I'm worried that my company will introduce new processes or technologies, and I cannot cope.
Okay. Let's revisit the issues and the things that's happening out there in the workplace, in the employment market, right? The reasons why there may be employers who feel that, hiring older workers may not benefit them. But there's also this issue about it's actually the nature of their business. Okay, how can we address this? So again, remember, what I'm trying to do here is to focus your mind on things that you can control, to address those issues that you can manage, rather than focusing on issues that you cannot influence and cannot control. Okay, so let's take a look at John. Okay, in his situation, right, he's currently employed, but he's really worried that the company may not promote him or give him more responsibilities, or the company is going to introduce new practices, new technologies and all. So what is the real problem here? If you look at all these things, what is the real problem or problems that John needs to face and address? Mindset. What else? Any others? Lack of knowledge, relevant skills. Fear. I like the word. Fear. Upgrading skills. Lack of knowledge. Yeah. Okay. John doesn't have a nice portfolio. Okay. Well, John is already employed, right? So he has to address those skills, those issues that are within the company itself. Okay. So if that's the case, if you look at it, there could be all these issues, but essentially John needs to face up with these three areas. The perception by the company that he's inflexible, he may not fit in with the new technologies, or maybe even not fit in with new colleagues coming in, right? He may not have the knowledge available. Whether it's about the new technologies, whether it's about social media or any other areas, right? So I'm going to sort of address these three as a primary factor for John, in John's case. All right. So let's deal with the first one, which is the easiest one that most people tend to jump at very, very quickly, is this thing about the lack of knowledge. The lack of knowledge. We all know what this means, right? It basically means that, hey, we don't know something, we don't know how to do this, we don't know how to manage this, something that new that came in, we don't know what to do, right? So how can John overcome this perception that he doesn't have suitable knowledge in any particular area, right? Well, what can he do? Essentially, if you look at it, John needs to do a couple of things here. Number one, he needs to look at what's happening in the industry. If he's operating within a particular industry that's moving very quickly, right, then he has to really understand what the industry trends are, right? And from that understanding of industry trends, then he has to assess, okay, what skill sets he has now and what skill sets he needs current in moving forward. Okay, and he has to really make some hard decisions. Now, where can he find this information? Where can he find this information? Lots of places. These are some areas that he could look at, right? EDB about industry trends, MMM, right? About what's happening out there in the marketplace. Skills Framework is a very interesting website. Hopefully you all have gone into that before, right? Google it, Skills Framework, right? Where it tells you about all the skills criteria, what needs to be, what are the requirements for certain jobs, certain positions, and what are the promotion career paths that anybody in that job can expect. My Careers Future is also an interesting source, right? Scanning job ads, you can find out, oh, this job, this industry, this company requires certain criteria, hiring criteria. There's also a feature within My Careers Future where they can help suggest to you which industries you feel you want to switch to if you're making a career switch. Give it a try. Now, apart from doing desk search, like computer, look at what's online and all that, what I always recommend my clients to do, and I'm strongly suggesting to you as well, in order to look for what's happening out there in the marketplace, talk to people. Talk to people. Okay? Go out to your network. Ask them what's happening out there. Right? Build relationships. Okay? So this is a very key thing here. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit more on this and how it can help you in other areas as well. Once you sort of understand what is required, obviously you have to attend training. Okay? So the purpose of attending training is to plug a skills gap. Okay? I don't want you all to feel that attending training, you just go. Once I attend training, I automatically will get better prospects. No. Training is a means to an end. It is not a magic pill where suddenly you attend this training, you get this certificate, bang, your job prospects are better. It helps, definitely, but it's a stepping stone to something else. Okay? And you need to leverage on whatever training you have achieved in order to tell somebody what you can do. And I'm going to address that in the next few slides as well. Now, before I move on, I want to sort of highlight this particular report I saw last week. And I thought it was a very, very interesting report. Here it says how AI is transforming the workplace in Singapore. Right? And really, I'm just going to give you some summaries of that article itself. Okay? New technologies, including AI, are being embraced in the workplace, right, for the time and cost-saving benefits. Okay? Over 75% of companies, a lot of companies, most companies globally plan to adopt AI in the next 5 years, with 50% expecting it to create jobs. Interesting, right? Create jobs, not cut jobs, not lose jobs. Okay? Training in AI is a top priority to employers right now. Okay? They want to harness the power and upskill their workers. AI is already transforming the workplace by saving time, improving operations, and completing tasks like data processing and customer service. Okay? And the good thing here is that in Singapore, right, we are among the highest user of AI at work. The majority of us trust and embrace the positive changes. So imagine if John doesn't embrace things like AI and the new technologies, everybody else is around him is moving ahead. He's definitely going to fall behind. he's definitely going to fall behind. Right? Now, those of you who may think, oh, I'm too old to learn anything right now. You know? Can I learn new tricks? I'm an old dog. Can I learn new tricks? Well, let me share with you an interesting posting on social media by this guy called Sam Altman. Sam Altman is the guy, the CEO of a company that started ChatGPT, right? And he made a comment saying that, you know, systems, the AI systems are much better at doing tasks than jobs. That's a very significant comment, no? Jobs are made up of tasks, right? When you are in a job, you do certain tasks. And right now, AI can help you in completing those tasks in a more faster and efficient way, thereby releasing time for you to do other things. Right? So that is a very, very important part here that we need to look at. Right? So if that's the case, if you look at John again, all right, if you look at John, what are the things he needs to learn as far as non-tech AI skills are concerned? Can you think things is critical thinking? Any others? Growth mindset, empathy, problem solving. I like that one. Problem solving. All right. How to find information. Okay, very good. Right? It's a bit like research, right? Research skills. Strategic thinking. Okay. EQ, cross-functional engagement. Very good. Right? How to work with other people. How to work with other people. Well, essentially, if you look at it, a few things John can do, right? A few things John can do. He needs to hone his ability to analyze things, right? And the good news here is that someone in John's age group, right, after years and years of working in a particular area, we're probably having very good skills in trying to analyze what's happening, right? So we got to leverage on that. Relationship building, many of you have written that down. We need to sort of emphasize how we connect with people, right? We need to be able to adapt, be flexible. And I'm going to touch on this in a little while as well. How can we be more flexible? How can we be more adaptable? Curiosity. I always feel that, even though we are older, I think we need to enhance or develop a very strong sense of curiosity. We want to know what's going on out there, what we need to do. One of the biggest things that holds back a lot of older workers, right? Clients that I worked with, is the notion that I'm too old already. That thing is happening there. Okay, lah, let it happen. I'm not interested in this and all that. This sort of mindset is really going to sort of constrain you from growing. So you need to have a sense of curiosity. Right? This thing, bias detection, what does it mean? It basically means it's aligned to this notion of being analytical. You have to look at a piece of information and see whether the information, the people or the machine, the AI that gives you the information, is it biased in a certain way? Now, those of you who have been playing around with things like ChatGPT, Bing Chat, Google Bard, and all the different LLM models, you will realize that when you ask a particular question in any of those platforms, chances are they all give you different answers. They all give you different answers. Okay? So we have to be able to see, okay, everything is different, but let's see which one do I use. Which one I feel is a little bit more accurate, is non-biased. Right? So we need to be able to develop that skill set. Delegation. Instead of doing everything ourselves, can we get other people, maybe someone else who is more adept at using AI technologies, and get that person to help do the things that needs to be completed? Collaboration, again, is very similar to building relationships, working with other people, right, to achieve a common aim. Continuous learning. I cannot overemphasize this. This is a very, very important thing that we need to understand. We need to sort of go through the whole process of learning new things every day. in my age, 61, I am still continuously learning all these things about AI, how to leverage on AI to help me deliver workshops like this, to help me work with my own clients, right? We need to continuously learn and develop. Next thing, let's address this notion of inflexibility. Inflexibility. Now, whether true or not, John himself may say, no leh, I'm not inflexible, well, But if there is a perception by people within the company that John is inflexible, then he needs to do something about it. Okay? And what can he do? Obviously, the big word here is be proactive and be adaptable. But how can you show this? How can you show this? Okay. Volunteer for stretch assignments, seeking feedback. Very good. Any other actions that can show that you are adaptable and flexible. React fast to problem solving. Take the initiative to learn new skills. Volunteer to take up projects. Very good. All right. Trying new things. All right. Don't be afraid of new things. Offer new ideas. Accept new ideas. Accept new ideas. Be proactive in learning new skills, right? That can help you in your job. Maybe accept new roles, new responsibilities, right? Take on new projects. All these are things that can help you demonstrate that you are proactive, that you are adaptable. Okay? Now let's address this other notion that people may see John as someone who doesn't fit in. Who doesn't fit in. So, what can John do? Again, same notion of being proactive but being adaptable, but different actions again. What do you guys think? Well, let me suggest a few possibilities here. One is maybe participate in company activities. One of the things I realize for older workers, my older clients, is that when they reach a certain age, they become blasé about things happening around them. Right? When a company or an organization says, oh, we have this event and all this, no need lah, go there so many years already, I don't want to go again. Okay? So, but no, re-energize yourself, re-engage yourself with what's happening in the company. Okay? Align with the company values and work style. So if the company operates in a certain way, then maybe if it agrees with you and you share the same values, then you should work in that way as well. Right? If the company says, oh no, we are going to have half the week work from home, the other half come into office, then maybe here, if you feel that, because a lot of my older clients, they always feel that, people work from home means out of sight. I don't know, I don't trust them. If you are managing a team that's working from home most of the time, right, then maybe that's the environment, maybe that's the culture. So you have to accept it and maybe leverage on that as well. Okay, so that is the company values. Okay? Show commitment. Be positive. I saw somebody mention that. Be positive. Don't be criticizing all the time. Just use the word yes and. This notion, yes and. Don't use the word no but. Don't use that phrase. Use the phrase yes and. Right? Be positive about the whole thing. All right? Be a team player. Okay? Here, what I mean by team player, especially for older workers like us, is that maybe you can help your younger colleagues. So somebody mentioned going for lunch with younger colleagues. No, maybe during those lunches, during those social events itself, you make it a point to sort of guide and help the younger colleagues. Right? Maybe to a certain extent being a mentor. Or if the company accept this, right, maybe be part of a mentoring system or create a mentoring system within the company. Okay? All these actions can sort of show to everybody around you that you are making an effort to fit in, to adapt, to integrate yourself within the company. Okay? So those are possibilities for you. Now, I want to bring in Sarah. So remember Sarah? Her situation here is that she's a job seeker. She's been absent from the workforce for a long time. Right? So all those things that we mentioned about John on lack of knowledge, being inflexible, doesn't fit into the culture. When Sarah is looking for a job, she also has to address all those things. And she will do this in the same way. She will do this in the same way. But the thing that she needs to show in her resume or in her dealings in the network building, the relationship building, is that she needs to be able to highlight examples of those things that we have discussed over there. So that is the key thing for Sarah, right? That is the key thing for Sarah. Now, Sarah in her job search, because of the nature of a situation, she has to address a few other factors that maybe John in his own situation doesn't need to address. Okay? He's looking at all these three. People may think that, because she's a certain age, she may be expensive, she may be demanding, short runway, right? Physical limitation. So let's address these few. Let's address these few as far as Sarah is concerned. If you're an older worker, you are looking to switch careers or you're going into another job, one of the most common concerns that many employers would have is that, are you going to ask for high salary? Are you going to be very expensive? When the discussion is centered around topics like this, right? Are you going to ask for a high salary? Are you going to be very expensive? It basically means that the employer is looking at you as a cost. We want to sort of switch this around. And think about this. Instead of positioning ourselves as a liability, as a cost, why don't we position yourself as an asset? Okay? And what do we mean by an asset? Well, I've done many workshops on this, and one of the most effective way I found is really to look at ourselves as someone who can solve other people's problems, be a problem solver. Very briefly, if I can just run through this. In order to become a problem solver, you must first know something that's very, very important. You must know what you are good at. Right? And how do we determine what we are good at? Right? So that video on determining what your skills are, what your competencies are, and what skills you like to use. Go through the exercise. And from there, you can determine some of the skills that you're good at and what you like to do. So that is a stepping stone. That's a stepping stone to try and identify what problems you solve. So let's use the case of Sarah as an example. Okay? So in Sarah's case, let's say she has skills and experience in this area. In the past, she was an office manager, she worked in the shipping industry, right? And her activities was really starting up new operations and running the office. Okay? And Sarah would say, I did this, how did I do this? Right? I had a lot of experience in the past in setting up a new regional office. I manage all aspects of office and HR operations, and then I have very strong interpersonal skills. So typically, most people would do what Sarah is doing right now in her CV. Highlighting her skills, highlighting her accomplishments. That's great, right? That to me, right, is there's still something missing. What is this? Why don't we then add in another portion here to help illustrate what Sarah's value add is to any potential employer? And what is this? So in Sarah's case, if she has the skills and she knows what to do, then let's look at what problems Sarah can solve. She can help companies set up a new office. Right? She can help companies be more efficient in the office systems and the processes because she's been an office manager before. Right? And because she's helped put together teams, she can be very effective and very efficient in hiring and integrating new teams. Right? So just imagine if Sarah understands that those are the problems she can solve. In her search for a new employer, one of the things that she can do, and I recommend strongly that all of you should do, look at the company. What are the issues the company is facing? If you find, let's for example, in Sarah's case, if she finds that a company needs to be able to set up a new office in Singapore, bang, Sarah has done it. She knows what to do. She can do it. She's going to go to the company and say, I've done that before. I know all the steps and the procedures. Right? And especially if the company is in an industry that she has experience in, bang, her value add goes up another few notches. Okay? Setting up office, hiring new people, she has experience in that as well. She can help solve the problems of being able to hire, integrate new teams. So I hope you see the power of understanding what problems you solve as a strong value add to potential employers. Because that overcomes any concerns about you being a liability. It now becomes you become an asset because you help them solve problems, their problems. Okay? Let's take a look at this other notion of the short runway. Short runway. Now, when we think of a short runway, what is the real issue here? When if that company or the hiring manager has this perception that, you have a short runway, you are already so old, what is the issue that they're thinking of? Can you type in the chat box? What is the issue that that they are thinking of if they think that you have a short runway? Somebody says waste resources, job hopping. If you retire soon, then they have to hire and train another new person. So in other words, it's really about, are you committed? Can you contribute enough to the company? Right? Those are the issues really about the short runway, right? So Sarah needs to address that as well. She needs to be very focused on saying, okay, if the company is thinking that I may not be able to contribute, I may not be committed, like somebody mentioned here, I may take this as a stepping stone to something else. We need to address those concerns. So how do we address this? How can Sarah address this? First of all, Sarah has to make sure she understands where her value add is. Okay? She has to be very succinct and say, I have the skills and experience to solve your problem. Okay? So she has to be very targeted and saying that, that company has that problem I can solve. Okay? So value impact immediately. Okay? She needs to show past examples of her commitment to a cause. Okay? For example, if she was involved in a project or in setting up an office, what did she do to pull through? Whether it's short time frame, what did she have to do in order to make things to completion? The commitment level. She has to show the examples. Okay? Be open to alternative work arrangements. This is something maybe many of you would have some concerns here, but it is a reality. It is a reality here. Okay? Sometimes as an older worker, we have to be open to say, okay, instead of looking at a full-time job, or can we consider any other forms of arrangements? Many of my clients, many of you may think so as well. You don't want contract work. Let me give you a reality check here. Most companies right now, when they hire new people, standard practice here is they put you on a 1 or 2 year contract. Okay? That is becoming the standard practice for many companies. Okay? Standard practice. So if you feel that, no, I don't want a contract work, then you may be ruling yourself out of a lot of opportunities out there. Okay? Now, why the company has this notion of a contract, they have a lot of reasons for that. I will not dwell into this, but that is the reality now. Okay? Another alternative work arrangement could be if Sarah needs to prove herself, maybe she works on a project basis to prove herself to the company that yes, she's committed, she can do the job. And if the company thinks that, wow, okay, this is Sarah is really helping us, I'm going to put her on a full-time basis. Okay, maybe they're asking, maybe Sarah, you do a part-time stint with us first, right? With the notion here, thinking that, let's test Sarah out, be open to this as well. Okay, so consider all angles of work arrangements. Don't be too fixated on just one format of the work style or the work arrangement. Be open. Be open. Physical limitations. Some of you mentioned in your chat as well. Physical limitations. Obviously, one of the key things we all must do, regardless of age, is to keep fit. Keep fit. Okay? Make sure we are healthy, not only for ourselves, but also for our loved ones as well. I won't preach on that. You all know this, right? But the other thing I think we need to understand here is this notion of what type of jobs can we go after. We need to understand maybe sometimes some jobs, because of its nature, we probably are too old for that. We have to understand that. We have to understand that and accept that. Then we have to look at different types of jobs in order to fit that we are better suited. Okay, for example, if I were to were asked to go for a sales job that has me traveling around all over the place to get sales, chances are I probably won't do it because it's going to be too physically taxing on me. Okay? It's too physically taxing on me. So I may not want to go after those type of jobs. So we have to be very realistic about this as well. And it brings me to this little next notion here of the nature of the job, the nature of the business itself. Okay, how can Sarah, someone like Sarah, address all those things to help her get the job that she wants? Well, first thing that Sarah needs to do is really look at what company is suitable for her. What company is suitable for her. And in particular, I'm going to address this notion of companies hiring older workers. Okay, obviously there are other ways to find companies. In other words, whether this company has the right culture, whether they pay well and all that. But I think I want to address this notion of whether this company, first of all, accepts older workers. Okay, so identifying suitable companies. So one of the fastest way to look at this is whether the company has age-friendly policies. Now, what do I mean by age-friendly policy? Sometimes there's not a direct influence. You maybe look at it in an indirect way. Okay, some examples could be they have flexible work arrangements, right? They have flexible work arrangements in terms of whether it work from home, whether it's working part-time or whatever. That is an indication, right? They may have mentorship programs. In other words, they are open to getting mature workers within the company to help the younger colleagues. Right? They have many training and development programs that also open up to not only young workers in the company, but also older workers. So they encourage people to go and learn and upskill. The other one here is really looking at what? Whether there is a culture of respect and open communication within the company, whether the company prioritizes diversity and inclusion. Now, this one may be a little bit more difficult to detect if you're only just doing a desk-bound search, right? So how can we find out about this? How can we find out about this? Best way is to go out, talk to people. Find out from your network or people that they know, hey, company A, do you know anybody who's working in company A? What do you think about company? Do they accept older workers? What type of culture they have? Okay, ask around. Go to your network, ask around. Sometimes media also gets involved, right? Sometimes this company, because they want to highlight themselves as being age-friendly, they will publicize themselves. So search the media as well and say, does this company have a very good practice of incorporating older workers? Okay, so go out and find. Now, there are certain job portals that are also very specific about hiring workers. They are hiring older workers. They actually advertise jobs that are open to older workers. Now, one of this example is really this one on Silver Jobs, okay, silverjobs.sg. I don't know if I went to see it. I've gone in. Now, I won't say maybe 60% of the jobs advertised there are actually non-PMAT jobs, but there is a small portion that is PMAT as well, right? So again, take a look at that. There could be other resources as well. Okay? So the whole idea I'm trying to get at here is really to get you to understand that while there are companies that don't accept or don't look positively towards older workers, instead of crying out about injustice and being very frustrated and complaining like, why is the government not doing anything about this? Why can't we redirect our energies to looking for companies that do accept older workers? That's my message. That's my message. Okay. The other thing I want to get you to focus on is really to look at what type of roles we as older workers are suitable for. Here, we need to look at what sets us apart from the younger generation. We are older workers. We have life experience. We have career experience. That is one of our major advantages. The other advantage we have here is we have experience in working and dealing with different types of people. Okay? So these are the two key areas that we need to look and say, hey, as an older worker, I have the experience, whether it's life experience, whether it's industry experience, job experience, but at the same time, I also have experience in working with people. So if we were to look for jobs that combine these two, there are quite a few. Okay. Essentially, I just did a quick search online and I threw up these few job categories. There could be more. There's likely to be more. Things like jobs in the healthcare, the social services, education and training, finance planning and management, customer service. Okay. So basically, jobs or roles that allow you to leverage on your USP, your unique selling proposition. Okay? Your experience and your ability to interact and manage people. So we talked about staying relevant, right? And one of the things that I've been trying to emphasize here is really the fact that we need to be proactive. We need to focus on things that we can control and address the issues that are directly relevant to us. Okay? Once we know what the issues are, what the employer concern is, we need to then target and address those very, very specifically.
Wow, I think I need to be more systematic in my job hunt. I must keep myself informed of what's happening in the market and find out how best I can value add. Now it's time to reskill and upskill myself.
Yes. Staying relevant is a constant activity we all must do. Things are changing so quickly, we cannot be passive. However, it's also important that, at our age, we also pay attention to what we love to do, and how best we can continue to do this in today's world of work.
I think what John actually mentioned here is very, very pertinent. Okay? While we are looking for a job, while we're looking to manage our careers, we also need to be very conscious that because we want to continue and be fulfilled, we want to do things that we can do and we enjoy doing it as well. Okay? Which I'm going to address in the next couple of sections. But here, in order to stay relevant, my message here is that we really need to be sure that we can address the issues at hand. Whether it's addressing all these issues specifically or whether it's trying to find the right company or the right job scope or role. Okay? Leveraging on what we are good at. All right? On the difference between job and career, because I think this is very, very important as far as security is concerned. Okay? So why don't I show this to you and then we have a little short chat before on this and then before we go on to the break itself. Okay? But let me sort of summarize what that video showed to you, the difference between job and career. Okay, so as far as a job is concerned, all right, it's really associated with a specific company, right, or a specific job nature with certain tasks that you do. Okay, it is a company gives you the job. It gives you the job, right? And you get the job, most of the time you are focused on the rewards that you gain from the job, and usually it's salary. Okay? Success, longevity of the job, yes, you can do well, you stay on, but by and large is dependent on external factors like the industry or how well the company is doing. Okay? So that's the job. What about career? Career is really about being able to change your job nature or your organization over time. Okay? A career, you can change your job nature, your organization can change. Okay? You drive your career. You develop your own career. It is not given to you. You develop it. You are the driver. Okay? As far as rewards are concerned, it's usually more focused on satisfaction, fulfillment, and it's long term. Okay? And therefore, how you progress in your career, right, is dependent on what you do. You are the driver, right? Although you are still subject to external factors, but you are the person that drives yourself to overcome whatever's happening out there, right? So then let's take a look at security. Okay, what do we mean by job security? Right? Remember this notion here, this section is dealing with relevance here is really about security, right? So job security means what? You want stable employment over time, right? That's usually what a lot of people mean by job security. Okay, you want progressing salary, you want growth opportunities. So in essence, job security describes all this, right? But what about career security? What do we mean by career security? Here, it's really about being able to adapt to a changing market environment, changing market conditions, right? It is about staying relevant, continuously upskilling or reskilling. It is being flexible to transit to other roles, leveraging competencies and your interests. So my question to you is this: which one is stronger, is more lasting? Is it job security or is it career security? Right? For those of you who are still thinking you want job security, then let me share with you this notion. Every job is temporary. No job is permanent. Once you have this notion in your head, this thing about job security is really not something to rely on. Yeah?
Yes, I want to feel secure about my job prospects and my career. Given that we cannot prevent or stop change, then perhaps it's better for us to focus on getting career security instead of just relying on companies to give us job security. But how can I do this?
Thank you, Sarah. I think really here we are talking about two ways to do it. One is what we think, how we have the mindset. The other one is how we translate the mindset to actions. So let me share this with you. Okay. One of the key things about mindset here, which I think many of you have already guessed, is really we want to embrace change. We don't want to be worried about change. We want to embrace it. Okay. We want to be able to take charge of where we are going, what our career is. We don't rely on companies to do that for us. Okay? We have this notion that every job is temporary. Once we have this notion, every job is temporary, you are the one responsible for your own career. Your career is like a business, a business of one. Okay? Once you have all this, what are the actions that come out of it? Essentially, if you look at it, you then go out and show your value add. And a lot of times you want to exceed expectations already. Okay? You want to stay current because you are driving your own relevancy here. So it's in your own interest to stay current and you want to do that. Right? Here, instead of focusing on my duties were, my responsibilities were, you start focusing on what? What you have done. What are your capabilities? Right? And then you start thinking, oh, there's a problem I can solve. There's a challenge I want to overcome. Okay? So those are the things that I'm looking at as far as career security is concerned. Okay. Hope you had an opportunity to sort of get up and walk around and not stay put too much, okay? Sitting down too long is not good for you. Welcome back to the next half of today's session. We spent the last 1 hour or plus or so talking about staying relevant and understanding what discrimination is all about, analyzing what are the reasons for any companies or people still having this notion of ageism, right? I want to very quickly go on to how we can generate opportunities, right? Before we address some of the major talking points that I see you all expressed here, right? So maybe once I address the notion of opportunities, then you can basically see that actually you are able to generate your own opportunities. All right. So here we're essentially looking at how can we continuously create new opportunities for career advancement and pursuing our own passions.
Yes, I'm worried that, as I get older, my opportunities become lesser and lesser. I can see that this can be due to perceptions about my ability at my age, and it also depends on my ability to adapt to change or learn new skills.
So the question we want to ask ourselves is why, at our age, why do we still need to take responsibility and generate opportunities for ourselves? Right? So the first thing here is really the notion of staying competitive. Now, as the job market evolves, staying up to date with industry trends and acquiring new skills can actually help you remain competitive and relevant. Right? Adapting to change. Adapting to change means what? The business environment and the job market are continuously changing, right? So we need to create new opportunities to allow us to grow and adapt, right? Next thing here, what about job satisfaction? We need to look at job satisfaction. We need to pursue opportunities and passions that can allow us to do the things that we want to do and have more fulfilling career, right? Leveraging on our experiences. Remember, we talked a little bit about that just now. We, as an older worker, we can capitalize on wealth of experience and our knowledge to explore new roles, new industries, okay, and new opportunities. And I think probably this one might be important for most of us. Okay, this thing about maintaining financial stability. How can we continuously create new opportunities so that we can ensure that our financial situation is stable, our job or career situation is secure as we grow older, right? So hopefully you see that, as we grow older, this notion of creating opportunities for ourselves becomes stronger and stronger, and we cannot be passive about this. So how do we do this? Well, in order to do this, we need to understand a couple of things. First thing here is this. Some of you may have been to my past workshops, you know this already. Okay. Most of the jobs that you see out there in the marketplace, those that are advertised are the minority. The majority are not in the public sphere. Okay. How then can you look for these jobs? So you need to be able to find a way to identify and attract these opportunities. Right? And so there's this notion of the hidden job market. You see here, this part is all hidden. So what can you do? And this is especially significant for people like us in the older age group. This is also very significant for the people who are coming back to work after a long absence, right? If you are relying just on advertised jobs, you are falling behind. Simply because jobs out there, most of it is hidden. One way to identify hidden opportunities is to really look at how we build relationships with people, get these people to tell us what's happening out there. Okay, these people become our supporters, right? These people become our referrals. They refer us to opportunities. Ideally, they do the searching for you. They search the opportunities for you. Wouldn't it be wonderful? And all this means that they can help you uncover the opportunities that are not in the advertised space. Okay. One of the key ways to do this is through informational interviews. Right. But in essence, informational interviews is a way to help you find out where the opportunities are. It's a way to cement your relationship with other people. Right? The stronger this is almost like a Wi-Fi connection, right? The stronger the connection, the more opportunities you can access. Okay. Now, the other thing I really want to emphasize here is this notion that employers are risk averse. I think I want to highlight this to address quite a few things that many of you have mentioned here. Okay, how do we overcome this notion of biasness? We have to understand when employers are seeking a candidate to fill a job position, they want to do it in such a way that they want to find the best candidate they can have at the most cost-effective manner. I'm not saying cheapest, but the most cost-effective way. Okay, so when they are interviewing you, right, they are interviewing you not because of how good you are. You may be very good at your skills and all that, right? But they're interviewing you because they want to see how your skills and experience can help them. Okay? So that is the critical thing that you have to understand, right? In other words, they are saying, how can you, with your skills and experience, solve their problem? And once they can see that in you, you become an asset. You become an asset. So it comes back to this thing we discussed just now. All right? What Sarah has done here. Understand what problems you solve and use that to communicate to potential employers. Now, how do you communicate this? Okay? Again, a large part of this is down to personal branding. Right? You need to do the legwork to tell people how good you are, what you are good at, right? And what problems you solve. Once people see that Julius can help me solve this issue about warehousing, I'm going to hire Julius. Okay? So understanding what problems you solve, communicating this in your personal branding strategy, your personal branding platform is a major approach for you. Okay? I want to address this question that was asked by one of you guys here. Right? Here the question is, how can we position ourselves credibility as an irresistible talent acquisition opportunity for a role that is not yet envisaged by the prospective employer? In other words, the role doesn't exist, right? But how can we position ourselves to the employer to say, wow, that person, I want that person in. I want to create that role for that person, right? So in other words, it's really about, telling the company, it is not what you need, is what you want. How can we then convince the company to say that, hey, I don't know I need it, but I really want that person. Okay? Now, this is very similar to when you are going shopping, window shopping, right? I always say to my wife, wow, this Daiso to me is a danger zone because I go in without knowing I don't need anything, but I leave buying a lot of things because that can come in useful. That is something I like because I find that I may not need it, but I want it. Right? So very similar here. Right? If you want to position yourself with a company and get the company to say, hey, I really want that guy to be in, I'll create a position for him. Right? So really at the end of the day, the company must really like you. Right? So you must establish a good relationship with whoever the hiring person is. But tactically, if you look at it, you want to be able to, even in the process of developing a relationship, you want to be able to highlight to the company that they may have a problem coming up, right? Or they may have a problem that's actually hidden they don't know about, right? So you need to do your legwork to highlight that, right? So here it is really about positioning the company to think, what if this happens? What if that happens? So it becomes a very strategic thinking. Get the company to think strategically rather than tactically. Okay? And here, in order to do this, it's really about, showing the company that, you are good in a particular area, you are good in solving that particular problem. And once you can convince them of that, then you can say, wow, Gary, I want Gary to come into the company because he's someone who perhaps can help me talk about things in a strategic manner. Okay. So hopefully that sort of addresses that particular question. The other thing I want to sort of emphasize to you guys, and I've mentioned this many times during the session already, okay? Be open to change. Be open to change. Don't resist change. And changes can come in many forms, right? What are some of the forms, right? It could be new role, new responsibilities. It could be new things, new processes that may introduce into the company, right? The company may ask you, or the job requirements may ask you to work in a different location. Be open to that. You may be exposed to new colleagues, new bosses. Okay, we all have to adapt to that, right? New technologies come in, right? Like in the case of John, right? He needs to cope with all the new things that's coming in. And this last one, which I think is very, very important, which I think we cannot discount, new work arrangements. New work arrangements. All right. Now, incidentally, on the 16th of November, I'm going to have a 3-hour workshop on coping with change. And those are some of the things that I'll be talking about. All right. So if you're interested, join me on the 16th of November, in almost a month later. Okay.
As the saying goes, with change comes opportunities too. I realize that staying proactive and open to new opportunities is crucial for my career growth, even after 40.
Yes. I realize that it's never too late to start planning my career and creating new opportunities. By focusing on my strengths and staying adaptable, I can continue to grow and succeed in my career, regardless of my age.
All right. So very quickly, I want to summarize this section on opportunities. Right? I discussed at the opening why we still need to continuously create opportunities. And one of the reasons we need to think about is all the conditions that's happening out there. What are the key things that we need to understand? Number one, because opportunities are hidden, we need to find a way to attract and identify these opportunities. And really one of the best ways to do this is to go out, develop network, build your relationships. Let these people tell you what the opportunities are. Okay. We also want to position ourselves as an asset. Okay. Because employers are risk adverse. Which means what? We need to understand how we help them, what problems we can help them solve. Okay. And we need to tell everybody, tell the world at large who we are, what are we are good at, what problems we solve. Do this in a personal branding platform. All right. So we talked about opportunities. The last portion, which, this is a favorite of mine, work-life balance. Work-life balance. So here, what are we talking about? Here, we are basically trying to understand what are the things we can do to achieve work-life balance, right? And here it is the ability to maintain a healthy balance between the professional and personal life. Professional and personal life. Okay?
For me, it was having to work long hours in the office and little time for the family. In fact, now that my parents are getting on, I need to also look after them, and this is worrying me too.
This is so true. One of the reasons I left the workforce was to have time to look after my young children, and I could not cope with work demands.
So very real reasons, right? Very real reasons. So let me ask you, what are the things in your life now that's affecting your work-life balance? You heard from John, you heard from Sarah. What about you guys? What is affecting you in terms of your work-life balance? Those of you who have this issue, can you type into the chat box, why do you have this issue? What is causing this issue to you? Family, no boundaries in work-life balance. In other words, office calls you 24/7, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Not enough time or energy for family. So family comes up again. Family comes up again. 24/7. I can totally understand this. I mean, if you look at it, is really a conflict, isn't it? It is a conflict between what our roles and responsibilities are in both work and in the family life. Okay. Now there are a lot of theories. As a career coach, I actually bring my coaching students through a bunch of these theories about how conflicts in life and work actually generates stress and depression among job seekers. Right? So this is the conflict we have to deal with. Now, how can we do this? How can we do this? Now, this becomes a very personal thing for me because I've gone through this, and what I'm going to share with you are things that I actually practiced and things that have helped my clients go through, right, and use successfully. The first thing that I always tell people, what is important to you? What is important to you? What are your priorities? You have to understand what your priorities are. So you have to be very, very clear about that. Okay. Now, the other thing next coming up, among your priorities, I hope among the top, if it's not the top, at least it's among the top 3, your priorities should be looking after yourself. Looking after yourself. Okay? So, what are your priorities? Hopefully, one of the priorities is yourself because you have to take care of yourself. And one of the things that, many of you mentioned this already, there is no boundary. Sometimes maybe it is about us creating that boundary to say that, within ourselves, I'm not going to answer emails or whatever after 8 o'clock, for example. Make it a rule for yourself so that you can spend time with your family. Now, you may come back to me and say, oh, but the company expects me to do this. You'll be surprised, huh? You can check. Sometimes you can check with your bosses, to say that whether that is an expectation or not. Many a time it is something that we create ourselves. It is not your boss's expectation, but we create ourselves. Okay? So you'll be surprised. Many companies now are very, very aware of mental well-being. Okay? And one of the biggest causes of mental stress is having no boundary at work. Many companies are very aware of that. Okay? So if that is something that's causing you stress and concern, highlight this. Okay? If you can't control it, highlight this. Okay? Now, those of you who are above 40, chances are you are working with teams. So can you delegate some of the work to your team members? Right? Is there a way to have a better flexible work arrangements, whether it's working from home, whether it's working on a project basis, whatever? Consider all these opportunities. All right. And the other thing that I want to really make sure we understand, especially for high flyers, people who are very aggressive in their career or have been very aggressive in their career. You always set very high standards, high benchmarks. Create goals that are achievable. Don't try and stress yourself out to such that I want to achieve this. You're going to push yourself out at the expense of everybody else around us. Okay? So that is the key thing that you need to understand. I saw this comment and said most SMEs work 44 hours or more. Possibly true, right? But most SMEs are also in a position to create flexibility around the work styles, the work environments. That's one. Okay? If they are not doing that for you, or if you feel that that cannot be done, then maybe you have to ask yourself the question is whether that particular SME is the right company for you. Because if this is work-life balance is your priority, then you have to ask yourself, what can I control? If you cannot control the way the SME works, right, then what is the other alternative? You have to ask yourself very, very strongly that. Yeah.
What if I want to move to a job with less responsibilities? How can I convince potential employers of my sincerity?
Thank you, John. A very common question among all my clients. Okay. If you want to understand this, what essentially would the employer concerned about if they see you as someone who is overqualified for the job that you applied for? What is the concern? Can you type into the chat box? If an employer sees you, a candidate, right, like Amy, saying, oh, Amy is overqualified for this job, what is the thinking behind this notion of overqualified? Expensive, lose interest, any other reasons? Not committed? Will you stay? Yeah. Paper qualification will not stick long commitment, demotivated, unable to stay on. Yeah. Very, very strong reasons, right? So if you look at it, it's whether you put in the effort or not. Because sometimes people think, oh, this is like, you're just here biding your time to retire or whatever, or it's a stepping stone. Okay, how long will you stay? Right? How long will you stay? Right? This one was actually a real thing that employer actually brought up to one of my job seekers, my clients. Are you running away from a previous role? Okay, so salary expectations. That's the other thing that's also coming up. What? No, you are older, you are more overqualified. Are you going to ask for a high salary? Okay, will you fit in? Okay, will you fit into the environment, the culture, and all that? Okay. Now, the first thing you need to understand to address all this is that these issues are not uncommon. In other words, there are many, many people who are also looking for jobs which are less stressful. Right? Now, in the old days, those comments that I listed down there are very real, very strong. But nowadays, thankfully, many companies recognize this notion that many a time we want a change of pace, and therefore we are looking at different things. Okay? So first thing here is this. You need to choose the right company. I talked a little bit about that in the earlier slides already. How we choose the right company that fits us. Okay? You want to make sure that whatever skills you have is relevant to them, is very transferable to them, okay, to their situation. And you want to emphasize how you can help the company solve their problem. In other words, you want to emphasize your value, okay, your value. So here in emphasizing your value, you want to give a lot of examples because you are a mature worker. You should have a lot of examples to show. Okay, so examples could be how you adopted the new roles, how you worked with a team, how you worked with younger colleagues, how you helped and guided others. Right? This younger colleague notion is also if you have worked with a younger boss. Wow, that's an even better bonus. Put that in as an example. How well you worked with them. Okay. All those concerns that we've listed previous slide, be upfront about it. Address those concerns. Right? So, what are some good reasons for us to tell people we want to have a job which is less stressful, less responsibilities? What do you think are some good reasons you can share? Caregiving responsibilities, okay, you're at the stage. More time with the family, you gotta, okay, I can understand that. Life stage, volunteer work. In other words, you want to work on volunteer basis. Could be, you just gotta be careful about life stage and more time with family. You gotta put it in such a way that it also doesn't penalize the company. So let me share with you some of the reasons that usually is looked at, if not positively, at least in a neutral way. Okay, so here are some good reasons. Okay, better balance, right? Better focus on specific skills that you want to use. Okay, the new role is related to a personal interest area. Okay, you want to contribute in a more focused manner. In other words, in a particular grade. Okay, so those are some of the good reasons you can share with the potential employer. Okay, but here I think I want to address this notion of the pay and the rewards. Now, the most of the time employers, when they pay a certain salary, is constrained by a couple of things. One, obviously their own structure, their own internal pay structure. But the other bit is also whether, and for those of them who find that they have a bit more flexibility in terms of pay structure, then they have to say whether it's worthwhile. Okay, so whether it's market average, above market average, or not. Right? If it is above market average that you're asking for, then you have to be very specific why it is you are worth above market average. So you need to understand what is the market average first. And then if you want to ask for higher, why? What justifies the company to give you above market average? Okay. Now, the other thing we need to be sort of be open-minded to is this notion of maybe the compensation can be structured in a different way, right? Or whether the compensation could be subject to different types of work arrangements. So, for example, like I mentioned to you, one of my past clients, okay, the company has restructured it such that he comes in 3 times a week. Yes, the salary is reduced, but it's not reduced up to 3 days, right? They gave maybe, I believe it's about 80%. So it's still pretty good deal for him, right? And he has more time for other people and other things that he wants to do. Okay, so hopefully that sort of helps you understand this notion of work-life balance. So if I can quickly, very quickly summarize this section itself, when we are talking about work-life balance, it's really about trying to manage the conflict between what we are supposed to do and what we want to do, our roles and responsibilities. Our roles and responsibilities. Okay. And here we are looking at priorities. What is important to us? I had a short discussion about those of us who want to have a job that is of lesser responsibility. How can we address that? Here is basically focusing on what is their major concern if you are asking for that type of job and address those concerns. I've already shared with you what those things are. Okay. Okay. We've come to the point, it's now 4:04, for me to address a lot of the questions that was emailed to me regarding what I have done since I left the corporate world to set up my practice. Right? So if you are interested in this, maybe I share over the next 10 minutes or so to sort of give you an idea of my own personal career path, right? And much of what I've shared with you over the last 2 hours or so was really an extraction of what I've learned about myself over the last 10 years or so. And I'm, by sharing my personal career stories, maybe that's something that you can take away as well. Is that okay? All right. Okay. So here, I'm going to illustrate my journey in three portions here. One is, why did I do it? Okay. Why did I do it? How did I cope with this new phase that I embarked on about over 8 years ago? And what did I learn about myself and the things that I needed to do? Right? And all these things hopefully is relevant to you, because here we are on a topic about what can we do to generate career confidence and career security. That's my notion here. Okay, so a little bit about my past history first, just to give you a background. Okay, so these are the industries I worked in. Okay, IT, FMCG, consumer electronics, HR consulting. I worked in a .com for a while, hotel and leisure, tertiary education management. Those are the different industries I worked in. The roles I worked in, essentially, okay, or rather the companies I worked in, some of them were MNCs, there were startups and SMEs, all right? Many of them were based in Singapore. I also had regional responsibilities. And the areas that I was responsible for, I participated in, I did sales, I did product management, strategic marketing, regional marketing, business management, right? Operations management. Right. So that was in a nutshell my career history and the things that I've done. Right. Then in 8.5 years ago, just before I turned 53, I decided enough is enough. Right. I just didn't want to sort of continue on this path of jumping from one job to another, or relying on a secure job or a stable job to drive me forward. I said enough is enough. Many of my friends have asked me, why? I mean, you're very easy. You can jump into another high-paying job and all that. Why do you want to do this? What's your motivation? Right? So essentially, if I look at what I've done so far at that point in time, really, no, it was really boiling down to this notion of self-fulfillment. Self-fulfillment. Really, to be honest, okay? I didn't have a work-life balance. Many of you have shared the same comment. And I felt that a lot of things were outside of my control. Outside my control. To such an extent that I actually felt that I felt ill, I felt ill whenever I went to work. I didn't realize that my illness was due to the work environment. I thought it was like, oh, maybe it's just that this period I wasn't eating well, I wasn't sleeping well and all that. Okay. But I realized that once I stopped continuing on that path, my health actually became so much better. But really the turning point for me to decide on embarking on a different path altogether, on this notion of doing my own thing, is really this need to look after my aging parent. Okay, my dad passed away a couple of years before I was 53. My mom was still around, is still around. She's 91 this year, right? Long live my mom. So I felt I needed to be there for her. I'm the only child. So that was a deal breaker for me. Okay. So that pushed me to sort of make sure that I have the inbuilt flexibility and time to be able to do what I need to do for her. Okay. So how did I go about doing this? How did I go about doing this? The first thing I did was I needed to take a step back and see what are the problems I helped solve. What were the things that people keep coming back to me and asking me for help? Okay. And I realized that, hey, I've been helping a lot of people in regards to their career path, to what they need to do and all that. Because as you can see, I changed careers quite a lot of times. Okay. So that was something I said, hey, maybe coaching is something I can do. Then I said, okay, let's do this. Let's learn some new skills. Learn what is coaching all about, get the qualifications. Right. Then I tested out my thinking. Can I be a good coach? Can I be a good coach? Right? So I tested it out on friends in my network. I said, I'm offering new free service on coaching. I'm going to test it out. Okay. And lo and behold, it worked. Okay. I felt good. The people I helped also felt good. Okay. And I decided to position myself as a career coach, and I started pushing forward in this direction. Okay. So that's what I did. What did I learn from this last 8 years or so? My own journey. Essentially, the first thing that I had to do was I got to continuously adapt, improvise, adapt, overcome. SEAL motto. Right? So things change. You can imagine over the last 8.5 years, so many changes. I had to sort of move in different directions, add new things just to make sure that I can continue on this path. Okay. I had to make sure that I understand what my priorities are, what is important to me. Okay. And given all the difficulties, and there were many difficulties, I kept going. I kept going. And one of the things that I also recommend to anybody who's thinking of doing something like this, is that yes, you can do all those. But one of the things that I always continuously developed was a safety net. Okay. Safety net comprises, to me, was a couple of things. One, was my own savings. I was fortunate enough to get accumulate enough savings. My son is already 27 this year, so I don't need to support him. He's working already. All right. But the other safety net here was I continuously develop my relationships, my network. So, I'm if anything, I'm able to call upon my network for assistance, for help, for opportunities. Okay. So that was my safety net. Okay. So hopefully, what I've gone through, my experiences gives you an idea of what you can do. I'm not the best example, but I guess it's just something to highlight to you some of the things that are possible for people who are over 50, over 60. Okay. All right. So it is now 4:12. So let me summarize. What we have discussed over the last just over 2 hours and 15 minutes. All right. So very quickly, we spent the last 2 hours plus talking about these 4 sections. Okay. So what were these 4? Firstly, we talked about understanding and interpreting this notion of ageism. And the whole purpose of this is to try and understand what is the real issue here. And can we tackle those issues? Can we control and manage those issues? Right? We want to focus on issues that we can manage. Then these are the things that we talked about. Okay. We spend a bit of time talking about how we can stay relevant and have a greater sense of security. All right. And here, the emphasis here is being more proactive in this whole process. Right. And really understanding what are the employer concerns and really targeting those concerns itself. I talked a little bit about career and job security, and I'm suggesting here maybe the focus here is on developing career security instead of job security. Yeah. Opportunities. Are we able to continuously create new opportunities for our own career advancement allow us to pursue our passions. Okay, and here again, it is not about being passive. We have to go out and do something about it. We go out and do something about it. Okay, but before we do this, we must understand a couple of important things. Number one, this notion of a hidden opportunity, and this notion that employers are risk adverse. And because of these two factors, we need to make sure that we can go out and develop our network, and we can go out and develop our brand so that we can attract opportunities. Okay. And here, the best way to position ourselves is to ensure that people understand what are the things we can help them with, what problems we can help them solve. Work-life balance. How do we achieve work-life balance? Here, it is understanding that work-life imbalance results because of a conflict. Right? So here, then we need to be very explicit about prioritizing what's important for us. Prioritizing what's important for us.
I think my biggest takeaway is that I need to be responsible for my own career path and development. Every job is temporary is a phrase I'll remember most. I need to take charge.
For me, I think I see that I need to prove that I can do the job. This means I'll need to have the right skills. Attitude and enthusiasm to learn is also key for me, so that employers can see I am suitable.
Just again to highlight to you that my next session will be on 16th of November, Coping with Change. Right? You can sign up for this using the same channel that you did to sign up for today's session as well. Okay. Regarding the recorded video, okay, that is going to come up next. Okay, after you help me fill up this feedback form.
A few moments later.
So firstly, as far as the recording is concerned, the fastest way you can get the recording is if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay, I've given the link actually in the chat box already, so you can go and take a look at all the links there. Now, in the past, what I've done is that I've actually sent you a newsletter with the link inside. But then the monthly newsletter actually takes a lot of time for me to do. So what I've done in the last month, since the last month itself, is to actually upload the video first. Okay, and then I send you the newsletter about 2 weeks later. Okay, so for those of you who want to access the video fast, okay, subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is there, and it's also the link is in the chat box. That will be the fastest way. Okay, so hopefully you all can see that. So when will I send this video? Give me at least a week. Give me at least a week. All right. So once, because honestly, October, November is pretty hectic schedule for me. Now, why is that hectic? Because of a couple of new projects that I'm doing. Number one is that I'm going to I have a huge archive of workshop videos in my YouTube channel. Those of you who subscribe, you will know there's quite a lot down there. Okay. Every time I do a new workshop, I upload the latest version, but the older version is kept away in another playlist. So you can take a look at that. Right. Now, I'm going to condense a lot of those workshop videos into shorts or at least shorter form. Right. So I'm going to do that. So that's one thing that's on my project list. The other thing which I'm actually very excited about is that I want to create a GPT, a Yuan GPT, which will use all the content in my workshop for the videos, the whatever documents I have, create it in such a way that any of you who have any questions about careers or anything about my philosophy about career management and all that, you can type it into that GPT and then you answer the questions as if it was me. Okay, so I'm in the project of doing that. I don't know how long it will take, but that's another exciting thing that I'm going up creating. So that's why it's been very busy for me. Okay, now for those of you who are still really keen on being part of my newsletter, because I'll still send out a newsletter. It may be a bit delayed because of all the promotions. I mean, all the projects that I have. Okay, so but again, I need your permission. The link again is in the chat box. Okay, if you want, can sign up to that link. It will give me permission to send you the email newsletter. Okay, so that's the other thing that you can do as well. All right. Now, for those of you who still want to have a talk with me, a discussion with me about certain issues that you may have, feel free to email me first. Okay, so my email is there, or you want to link up with me on LinkedIn as well, by all means do so. Right? It's been sort of a habit or tradition that every time I finish a webinar like this, I get lots of emails from participants. So I will go through every single email and I will reply to you, every one of you. But I may take a bit of time, right? But I will do so. Okay. So if you wish, please send to me. No obligation. I'm not going to charge you or anything. All right. Just send to me. I'll try my best to help you.
The linking follow you already.
Okay.
Just need
Thank
to
you.
connect.
All right. Those of you who are interested in any coaching sessions with me, again, you can go to my website and then you can take a look. I actually basically do it in packages. If you are keen, drop me an email, all right, and then we can talk about this. Those of you who are have been participants in my workshop, there will be a discount as well for these packages, all right. Those of you, after every webinar, I always have at least one or two persons asking me about coaching courses. Okay, so if you are interested, again, send to me. I am an instructor for a coaching certification program that is internationally recognized. Okay, I think in Singapore there's probably less than 10 instructors here, or maybe even less than 5. I don't know, right? So I'm one of them, but my difference here is that I do it in a very small group, maximum 6 people. But most of my coaching students actually come to me for one-to-one. I think I'm the only one that does one-to-one in Singapore. Okay, so if you're keen, just drop me an email on this. All right. I just want to round off today's session by sort of sharing with you something very personal. Now, this is a picture of me when I graduated, when I turned 23, if I'm not mistaken, from university. Okay, I'm sure all of you have played this game. What would you tell your younger self? What would you tell yourself is if you when you were 23 or whatever? So this is what I would tell myself. This is what I would tell myself. First thing here, I will emphasize to my young self, health is first. Family is first. Never neglect this. Never neglect this. Okay? Next thing I want to sort of emphasize to myself is that success is not overnight. It is a journey and you need to be prepared to take that journey. But the other thing that I want to emphasize here is that success, the metrics for success should also be very different, right? To me, I've learned along the way that success is about how good you are at helping others. It is not about how many cars you have, how well you are paid, you live in a big house or whatever, how many wives you have, okay? So success is about how good you are at helping others. That's what I would tell myself. Okay? You've seen this. Every job is temporary. Have that as a mindset. I always tell myself this continuously, and I wished I could have told myself that when I was young. And this notion, you need to take charge of your own career. Your career is your business. You are in the business of one. Don't stop building relationships. Don't feel that you will only develop network if you're looking for a job. Relationships matter at any time of your career, any time of your life. All right. Don't just assume that relationships will come back to you even though you've neglected them for a long time. Right? Please continuously develop new connections, enhance your current connections. Don't neglect them. Okay. That's all I have. Just a little inkling. You may have something different to tell your younger self, right? I've told this to my own son as well. So hopefully he takes it to heart. But at the same time, I hope you guys spent the last 2.5 hours or so and felt that you found something worthwhile to take away, right? This topic is actually very dear and personal to me because I've been through it. I'm in that generation as well. So a lot of the stuff that I shared with you are personal trials that I've gone through and things that I've used with my own clients as well. Okay. So thank you so much for your kind words in the chat box. I'm glad to see that many of you found it useful. I hope to see you again soon. Good luck in your own career journey, right? Take care, right? And, move forward. Don't look back. Move forward. Okay? I see you guys soon. Ciao.